The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. We are talking about credit card debt for the umpteenth millionth time, and yet it still never ceases to be interesting. I never stop getting excited about credit card debt because it is just senseless. And I can't believe people even borrow with credit cards. If you want to call and talk about credit cards, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. You can also go to my website, which is jareddillianmoney.com. That's jareddillianmoney.com. We're going to have something really cool there pretty soon, I promise. And you can also follow me on Twitter at DailyDirtNap, where I am making some stick saves currently. So let's just review. The average credit card debt in the United States is $11,000. The average income in the United States is approximately $50,000. The average interest on that $11,000 in credit card debt is about $2,000. So the average person pays 4% of their income in credit card interest. And we also figured out that if you added up mortgage interest and car loans, the average person could pay as much as 20% of their income in interest. And I don't think, I'm going to take credit for this. Yes, I'm a genius. I don't think anybody has ever looked at that before, looking at somebody's income and saying what percentage of their income is going out the door in interest. I don't think anybody's looked at that before. And your goal is that number should be zero. You should have no money going out the door in interest because it is a giant waste. It is a giant waste. So let's think about, if you had an average income and an average credit card debt and you were paying $2,000 a year in interest, what could you buy for $2,000? What costs $2,000? Let's see. You could buy a pony. You could buy a salad bar. Maybe like you could go to Wendy's and say, "Hey man, are you guys using your salad bar?" You could buy the salad. It's probably about $2,000. You could set up a salad bar in your house. Or you could just put like 12 urinals in a row. That's kind of like a salad bar. By the way, my brother, as like for a joke one time for Christmas, he sent me a urinal for Christmas, a real urinal. And he got it off of Amazon and it was only like $100. So I thought about hooking it up in my house. Basically, I was going to hook it up like right next to the bed so I could just like roll out of bed and like pee in the urinal. But right now, it's in our backyard. We just have it in the backyard. We're growing flowers out of it. So we have a urinal. Come to my house. You can see the urinal in the backyard. So you could get like 3 sets of new tires. You could resod your front lawn. I just got a new hot water heater for $2,000. For $2,000, you can get a new hot water heater. I just got a new washer. Like you can get 3 washers for $2,000. You could take a vacation. There's a lot of things you can do for $2,000. You can get 12 urinals in a row. Actually, you can get 20 urinals. You can get 20 urinals for $2,000. Yeah, all of that, even the 20 urinals is better than paying interest. And if you're, who does this? Like, who sits around and says, gee, I got $2,000 burning a hole in my pocket. Let me just pay some interest. Like, who does that? Nobody does that. Why are so people willing to pay interest? Why do they just accept it as a cost of like doing business? Like, it just adds to the cost of everything that you buy. For example, let's say you go to the store and you buy a snowboard. You go to Dick's Sporting Goods and you buy a snowboard. I don't even know how much snowboards cost. Maybe they're like $500. You buy the snowboard, you put it on your credit card, and if you don't pay that off, and assuming that's the only thing on the credit card, over the year, that snowboard is going to cost you $100 in interest. If you don't pay that off for 5 years, you're going to pay for the snowboard twice. Actually, that doesn't even take into account compounding. You're probably going to pay for it twice in 4 years, And some people carry big balances on their credit card for years and years and years. And so they buy something, and if they have that on their balance for years and years, they're paying for everything twice. It's madness. It's absolute madness. But everybody is just like brain dead. They're just like zombies, like The Walking Dead. Like, oh, we're just, just put it on the credit card and we'll just carry this balance and like maintain this balance. By the way, you know who makes money off of that? And it's not even really the credit card companies, because basically what the credit card companies do is they take your account balance and they combine it with like thousands of other people, and it's called revolving credit, and they put it into a pool of all these account balances that basically collect interest, and that is sold as a bond. So there are investors that buy these bonds, and they're made up of basically credit card balances. And they're called ABS. They're called asset-backed securities. And these are actually, these pools of credit card loans are they're good investments, because in most of the time, they throw off very predictable cash flows. And every once in a while, like when we have a recession, what happens is that people stop paying them and they go bankrupt, and then the bonds get hit. But, so they're very economically sensitive. But basically, if you're paying interest to like a guy. I mean, believe it or not, it's like a portfolio manager at PIMCO out in Newport Beach who bought this bond, and the shareholders of that fund are going to get your interest payments. That is who you're helping by like buying a snowboard and not paying it off for 4 years. Isn't capitalism great? Like this is how it works. Like, somebody is making money off of this. And I'm just saying there might be something else you want to do with that money other than give it to shareholders in a bond mutual fund. I mean, it's great that they can make money, but basically they're just profiting off of your ridiculous behavior. So let me ask you a question. Are credit cards evil? Because some people actually say this. Some people say that credit cards are evil and you should just cut them up and cancel the accounts and just never have a credit card. I think people should have the freedom to either use them wisely or blow themselves up. I think people should have the freedom to do that. If you deny people the choice, you should give people the choice. If you deny people the choice to use credit cards wisely or to use them poorly, then I don't like taking away people's choice. So if you pay them off every month like I do, then they're not evil. They're a great big convenience. They're massively convenient. I mean, just think about credit cards, right? So I told you at the top of the hour that I just paid off a credit card bill that was $5,000, right? What if I had to carry around like $5,000 in cash? Like, that would be a pain. Or what if I was like carrying around my checkbook, which is basically like 30 years ago, that's what people did. They carried around a checkbook. Actually, those really big checkbooks, those giant checkbooks that they use for businesses? I'd like to carry one of those around just so I could be like a big shot. Actually, there was in James Bond, in Octopussy, my favorite scene in all the James Bond movies. So Roger Moore is playing backgammon with like the Indian guy. And the Indian guy loses the backgammon game, so he has to pay the bet. And there's a guy behind him, and he just reaches back and takes this giant checkbook and writes a check to James Bond. I mean, this is why we have credit cards, because of that. No, it's a big convenience, and it's not evil. And by the way, you get points, and the points aren't everything, but it's better than nothing. But you should not borrow with credit cards. Like I said at the top of the hour, if you want to borrow, get a loan. Go to the bank and get a loan. Just plan ahead. If you can go to your bank and walk in, and those guys in like the offices, and they have the really bad clothes. They have like a black shirt and a red tie, right? Go talk to one of those guys and tell them you want a loan. Tell them you want a loan for $10,000, and they'll give you a loan for like 8%, and get a loan. And it's better than a credit card, which is 20%. Or 18% or whatever. So do it that way. Sometimes I get, with a credit card, if I get 20 days into the month, I keep track of my balance. About every week I log in, see how much I've spent, whatever. And then if I get to like 20 days through the month and I got to pump the brakes, then I pump the brakes, and I stop spending. And sometimes I have a big month and sometimes I have a small month, but just don't be one of these people who cannot deny themselves anything. They walk into a store and they say, "Ooh, I got to have that." No, you don't. And actually a better system is, if there's something you really want, then set a goal, right? People get paid different ways. If you're a W-2 employee, and you just get a salary, then say, okay, I'll buy this in 2 months. If you work on commission or you work on tips or something like that, say, okay, I'll buy this when I make $1,000, right? Set a goal, but just don't. What happens is people walk into the store and they say, I got to have that. And they can't do any of this delayed gratification. And they just buy whatever this thing is. And then they just pay interest on it for the next 3 years. And they pay for it twice. And I don't, look, there's a lot of people in the United States who are against credit cards, who beat up on credit cards, but I don't think anybody really does the math and says, holy crap, people are spending 20% of their income on interest. That's insane. It's absolutely insane. To me, like, I love to buy stuff. I do. I don't do the retail therapy thing. I don't buy things when I'm depressed. But I like to buy clothes especially, and I look forward to shopping trips, and I set goals. I'm going to New York in 2 months, and I'm probably going to do some shopping, and my goal is to make X amount of money and save X amount of money, so when I go to New York, I can spend a little percentage of it and have some fun with it. So $11,000, $2,000 in interest, man, just 20% of your income in interest, no bueno. I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show.
Jared Dillian. Own your money. Own your life.